All right, let's bring in Judy Trinh, who is in Ottawa following this breaking news. Judy, bring us up to speed on what we know, what's happening right now.
Well, Todd, what we can tell you is that this announcement came over Instagram, as you mentioned. They have been married for 18 years. What is interesting about this marriage was that it put Canada on the map, I guess, in the fashion world and in terms of interest internationally. The New York Times wrote an op-ed about the couple when Prime Minister Trudeau was first elected in 2015 in a majority government. They called it in the op-ed, they said Camelot had come to Canada. And that's because of the youthfulness of the couple and the energy that they brought. One of the first things, the couple has been front and center in terms of the Prime Minister's branding from the beginning when he was elected. You'll remember that in December 2015, just a few months after getting elected, the couple appeared in a Vogue profile in which they talked about their relationship. And at the time, it was considered very sultry and even sexy photo. We had not seen anything like it in Canadian politics. So they represented this brand of Canadian politics that ushered in youth, that ushered in fashion and a sense of sophistication, perhaps, that Canada was not known for. What is interesting is that about this couple is that they got married before Trudeau entered politics in 2005. He officially was elected in the Quebec riding of Papineau in 2008. They already had a son before he entered politics, so they had made this decision together. And what we do know, what this will bring into question is whether or not it will impact Trudeau's electability. And what I can tell you from my own observations and what we've, as reporters, have noticed on the Hill is that Trudeau is energized when he is talking about taking on Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. So from his body language and what he has communicated in the past, it doesn't appear that this will impact his plans to run in the next election, which is about 2 years away. We know that he just did a very significant cabinet shuffle. Todd.
Yeah, if you're just joining us here on News Channel, we have this breaking news coming in. The Prime Minister and his wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, announcing they are separating. This news just coming in minutes ago. The announcement being made on Justin Trudeau's Instagram account, asking for privacy and saying that they have decided after a lot of difficult conversations that they are going to go their separate ways. They do have 3 children. They've been married 18 years. The Prime Minister is 51, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau 48. As well, Judy Trinh is in Ottawa. She's covering this for us here as we bring you this breaking news. Judy, the other question, of course, is the implications for Sophie Gregoire Trudeau. I mean, this is a woman who, in her own right, was very much an advocate for charity. She was close and is close, no doubt, to Margaret Trudeau, the Prime Minister's mother. She's done a lot of work, charity work, in places around the world as well. We also know that politics are tough, on any marriage. You only have to think about what happened to Pierre Trudeau and Margaret Trudeau when they also got divorced. And, that was really a first for a Canadian Prime Minister at the time. Now we see this happening to the current Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau's son.
That's right. So there are parallels, Todd. Pierre Elliott Trudeau announced his separation from his then wife, Margaret Trudeau, in a terse 4-line news release in 1977, in which he just said they were going their separate ways, that the Pierre Elliott Trudeau would retain custody of the children, and that Margaret Trudeau was separating, and that she was going to pursue an independent career outside of the Prime Minister's office. What is interesting to point out is that Sophie Gregoire, as you mentioned, also had quite a career before getting married. She was a very popular Quebec entertainment and television reporter. She had actually been a correspondent for CTV's E-Talk, so she had that career. What we have noticed in the past couple of years that she has actually focused a little more on her personal branding. She has recently within the last year and a half or so, entered into a contract with Elle Canada in which she would create podcasts and write articles and a series of programs for Elle Canada talking about mental health. So she was re-entering that broadcast sphere. She was also a very sought after public speaker. Todd, she has been very candid about her personal struggles with bulimia, and she has spoke out on behalf of mental health organizations, on behalf of the Canadian Cancer Society, and on behalf of Plan Canada. So she has been in that sphere in which she's talked about the importance of health and mental health on women and young girls. So, whether or not this is something that she is going to continue pursuing, she definitely has that latitude to do that now. As you know, as the wife of a prime minister, it would be very difficult for her to venture into that type of career.
This coming in, Judy, as you're talking from the Prime Minister's office, the PMO, another statement here, and I just want to read it to the viewers at home, saying, quote, "Today, the Prime Minister and Sophie Gregoire Trudeau provided an update on their relationship. Sophie and the Prime Minister have signed a legal separation agreement. They have worked to ensure that all legal and ethical steps with regards to their decision to separate have been taken and will continue to do so moving forward. They remain a close family, and Sophie and the Prime Minister are focused on raising their kids in a safe, loving, and collaborative environment. Both parents will be a constant presence in their children's lives, and Canadians can expect to often see the family together. The family will be together on vacation beginning next week, and for the well-being of the family, we ask that you respect their privacy." And this is where things often, when it comes to politicians, Judy, things can be tricky sometimes because there is the personal and there is the political. And when you're talking about a prime minister, the two very much intersect because Canadians are used to seeing these two together at a number of different events, used to, on certain occasions, seeing their children as well. So it's often hard to navigate when you're in a very public sphere, and this is obviously a deeply personal issue when a couple separates.
Todd, as any Canadian couple will know, when they are entering into these separation agreements, when they are considering divorce, the priority is always on the children. They have 3 children together, Xavier, who's 15, Ella Grace, who is 14, and Hadrian, who is 9. Now, Ella and Hadrian basically grew up in the public sphere. They were born after Trudeau entered politics. So the couple have done a good job in terms of keeping the children away from the spotlight. And Canadian media has been extremely respectful of that. We do not usually report on the private lives of our politicians. We care about what they do in terms of policy, and we hold them accountable for that. But we don't do, there is perhaps in international media, I'm thinking of the British press, there is always a deep interest in the private lives of public figures, but Canadian media has predominantly stayed away from that. But now this is in the public sphere. The Prime Minister has put it out on his Instagram, and it is Todd, when we talk to our friends and our colleagues who go through this, right, it is about the kids making sure that they will be able to handle this. And the fact that they are asking for privacy is the Trudeau's signaling that, it has been a priority before and it remains a priority, and that they want to keep the private issues of their family behind these doors, Todd.
Yeah, we're just showing again the statement that the Prime Minister issued on his own Instagram account, just to basically say, "Hi everyone, Sophie and I would like to share the fact after many meaningful, difficult conversations, we've made the decision to separate." And they go on to say, he says, "We will remain a close family, love and respect for each other, everything we have built and will continue to build. And again, for the well-being of our children, we ask you respect our and their privacy." And some facts about the two. They did meet growing up in Montreal. They were married in 2005, so they've been married 18 years. They have 3 children, as we mentioned, Judy. Xavier, who's 15 years old, Ella Grace, 14, and Hadrian, who's 9 years old. The Prime Minister himself, 51, and his wife, is 48 years old. You raise a great point as well about the need for privacy and how difficult that is for any politician, but especially when you are a prime minister, and how the Canadian media, I think it's fair to say, and I think this is a point of pride, we are respectful about this sort of thing. It's not sort of tabloid journalism. We understand that people have personal lives, they have private lives, and there's a real sense that those two need to be, the difference between the public and the personal need to be respected as well. On the other hand, you're talking about the Prime Minister, who has been Prime Minister for 8 years and has been, to a certain extent, more open, shared more of his personal life, very active on social media, sort of leaning into being more connected in ways, a more modern Prime Minister perhaps when it comes to technology than we've seen from other Prime Ministers as well. Bottom line, very difficult for both of these people, of course, as they try to figure out what this sort of new arrangement is actually going to look like. And yeah, as you point out, Judy, a federal election could happen next year or in 2025.
That's right, Todd. Their last public appearance together was during Joe Biden's visit to Canada. Prior to that, they had traveled to London for King Charles' coronation. So in terms of what we've seen in terms of their public presence, those were the last two main events. I can tell you that in terms of, Sophie Gregoire was not with Trudeau during his visit to Iceland. Other leaders did have spouses there. Sophie Gregoire was also not part of, did not attend the NATO summit, but that's usually the case anyhow, because it was very much a business meeting. So they have. They have maintained this front in terms of supporting each other, and they are probably in terms of the posts that you've seen today, they are going to continue supporting each other in the support of their kids and the love and of their children. I should also point out that there are parallels, right, in regards to Justin Trudeau's separation, as well as his father's own separation with Margaret Trudeau. Pierre Elliott Trudeau set the template in 1977 when he announced the separation between he and his wife, Margaret Trudeau. So there is precedent for this. We will have to take a look at whether or not this will impact or in any way his plans in the next election. But from what we've seen so far as reporters as on the Hill, we've seen a prime minister who is energized. He just came out of a cabinet shuffle. When he talks about taking on the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre, he has an energy. He's resolute, and so it doesn't appear that in terms of whether or not he will continue in that route, he has not given any signals that this will impact whether or not he will run. So that will be interesting to watch in the coming days.
CTV's Judy Trinh, who's joining us from Ottawa with the latest on this.